And just like that, we're back. We're back again for AEW All in Texas for the post show. I tell you what, the devil truly is in the detail. You can't jump from show to show and watch along to watch along and post show to post show without making sure you're prepared. Get your graphics done earlier in the day. I am so glad that I did. If I hadn't done my preparation, there was no way I'd have been able to pull this off this evening. So, big up. Welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Appreciate everyone for locking in. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. It has been an absolutely wild evening. We've had like 7 hours of AEW All in Texas. Then we watched an hour of Saturday night's main event. Then we just did the Saturday night's main event post-show. Now we're on to the AEW All in Texas post-show. My goodness me. My goodness me. Now, if you haven't seen these post-shows before when it comes to talking about pay-per-view, we kind of do them in reverse. We talk about sort of the main event, because I feel like that whenever a show just goes off the air, you want to talk about what sort of closed the show and the big storylines, and then we'll go through the matches bit by bit as well. So be sure to click the like button, be sure to subscribe. As you can see, we're 7 subscribers away from 23,200. It has been, I can't recall a time here on the channel where I've done 4 streams consecutive like this. I cannot remember a time. I've done like watching 2 shows at the same time and then doing post shows at the same time, but I cannot remember a time that I've ever done like 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. I can't remember. What I will say, AEW All in Texas, brilliant. I mean, it's AEW's biggest show of the year. It's their first ever stadium show in North America. I thought Global Life Field looked absolutely fantastic. Now, in terms of the attendance number, I've seen Tony Khan, I think in the press conference, suggest that the walk-up total number is going to be around 30,000, maybe 29,000. WrestleTix, I think last update prior to showtime is that it had passed 25,000. Obviously, I think it's a 40,000 capacity stadium. With the entrance, with the staging or what have you, that's going to take off 5, possibly 10,000. I thought, in terms of what it looked like, the setup, the crowd, I will say, I think AEW this evening, and they needed to. I mean, it's ironic because it's called All In. I think AEW absolutely hit a home run with this show. I think they absolutely hit a home run when it comes to the look, the aesthetic, the majority of the outcomes. The one criticism you could probably give is the length of the show. Now, some people they don't care about that. They'll go, look, I'm more than happy getting value for money because, of course, AEW pay-per-views you still have to pay for. It's a pay-per-view. It's not like a premium live event with WWE where if you've got Netflix, you're going to get it anyway, or if you've got Peacock, you're going to get it anyway as part of your subscription for that. With AEW pay-per-views, you have to buy them, so I don't mind if they go longer because I get my money, I get my value for money. I don't mind about that. I'm one of those people that I do think there is a sweet spot when it comes to timing of things. It's the same with films. If you go over 3 hours, it can drag. A pay-per-view, if it goes over 4, 5 hours, it can drag. Including the pre-show, this was like 7 hours. So that's a long time. And there were points where the crowd was tired. You felt that they were tired. But I think, if anything, it's even more impressive that still at certain points they were absolutely focused and into what they were watching. And I think AEW hits a home run. There will still always be naysayers. There will still always be doubters. I'm sure there'll be people posting pictures on social media going, look at this block that was tarped off. Look at these seats were empty. You can't overlook what an achievement that is for AEW this evening. That is a North American-based pro wrestling company in the year of 2025 doing a stadium show with allegedly 30,000 people in attendance, not called WWE. If you'd have said to me 10 years ago, there will be another pro wrestling company, an American pro wrestling company that will do a stadium show, not like, oh, you can do it in Europe because you can do it in Europe, the fan base is rabid here. In America, you can do a stadium show that can get about 25 to 30,000. I would say, I'll believe it when I see it. And tonight I saw it. And I think AEW deserves huge credit for that. Are they WWE? Are they going to do WWE numbers? Are they going to put the WWE out of business? No. That's why tribalism is stupid. Because that's not the case. Are they going to, does WWE going to want to counter-program them? Of course they are, because they had a monopoly for 2+ decades, and they like that. They like, their market share now is probably like 90%. They liked it when it was 100, so or 99. So yeah, they don't like it if it's 10%. Would we maybe as fans want to exist in a world where we can all get along? Yeah, but that's not going to happen, is it? In terms of an alternative, something different to what WWE offers, I think we got that with AEW tonight. I do. I think, because going from that main event to then watching Saturday night's main event, I went, well, this is very, very different. But I think AEW knocked it out of the park. They had to have a title change tonight. And you know what? For all of the criticism about how shitty the Death Rider stuff is, and I know it's been tedious at times, it built to a moment this evening, didn't it? It built to a moment. We have a brand new AEW World Champion. Yes, that's pretty graphic, isn't it? Watching Jon Moxley get stabbed in the head. But we have a new AEW World Champion. His name is Hangman Page. It was a Texas death match. It was brutal. It was bloody. It was violent. And I will go as far to say it was brilliant. The show was built up as having this triple main event. We've got a triple main event. Of course, the Women's World Championship, Timeless Toni Storm versus Mercedes Moné, Okada versus Omega, and the Texas Death Match. If I had to rank them, and let me know in the chat how you would rank them, I would probably go Hangman Moxley 1, Storm Moné 2, and then maybe Okada Omega as the 3. I think all of them delivered in their own way, in terms of like enjoyment, in terms of in terms of the crowd participation and something different. Look, you can say about we've seen those Texas death matches all the time. We see hardcore stuff all the time. I would say, in fairness, sometimes AEW's done a thing where you see a pay-per-view and you see several hardcore matches, and by the time you do get to the main event and people are bleeding all over the place, you're like, how many times have we seen this? I thought actually the rest of the card kind of shied away from it as much as they possibly could, which I think was a positive. It made the main event feel different. They had barbed wire, tables, nails, glass. Moxley was, bleeding in 5 minutes because that's Jon Moxley. It had people had kind of fancy booked the Avengers style run-in, hadn't they, at the end of and everyone but maybe bar Sting did actually appear. So Ospreay came out, he got stretchered out, so I don't know if he's gonna be off TV for a while. Bryan Danielson back. I don't know if that means Danielson's back on TV for a little while. I don't know if that means they're building to a match, because of course when it comes to Danielson, I think he's a part-time wrestler now. You can see him right there. He's in the blue mask. So that would suggest to me he's going to have a match win after Wheeler Yuta. Maybe we do have Yuta versus Danielson. I don't know if it'll be All Out. I don't know if it'll be Forbidden Door. He said he'd only do a couple of matches a year. I think that's possible. Darby Allin returns. There was the video on top of a mountain. He comes down from the rafters. He's going after Moxley. So I think that's a situation whereby Mox probably feuds with Darby Allin now coming out of this. Hangman, who does he feud with? Look, Swerve gave him the assistance by putting the chain in the ring. Maybe they go back to feuding together, but they both have respect. Of course, MJF has the guaranteed World Championship opportunity after winning the Casino Gauntlet. But it was a moment, and obviously, like I said, AEW's got a lot of criticism. They've got a lot of criticism for the Death Rider story and not showing the World Championship, and that's a bad move, that's a bad idea. And yeah, look, there's plenty of, I think, arguments to suggest that is accurate. You can look at ratings, you can look at attendance, you can say, look, it's just the storyline at points was dull, and not seeing the championship in so long was awful. But when the championship did come out of the briefcase, people popped. They did. Now, you could say, well, they popping because it was the end of the storyline, or they popping because the belt came out. Probably a bit of both, maybe. Probably a bit of both, I would maybe speculate. But, yeah, look, it worked. And as a main event goes, I thought it absolutely delivered. I was, you notice in all of the 3 All-In shows that they've done now, AEW, 2023, 2024, now in 2025, they like to end on this positive, uplifting note. Whether it was Adam Cole and MJF embracing in 2023, whether it's Bryan Danielson winning the AEW World Championship and celebrating with his family last year, whether it's Hangman winning the championship, liberating it from the Death Riders and taking it out of the briefcase, that was the ending this time around. Now, last year we saw a situation where the sort of positive ending was at All In, and then the real negative ending was at All Out, and All Out was very, very dark. There's a bit more of a gap between them this year. Obviously, last time it was only a few weeks. This year, not so much. All Out still in September, but we've got plenty of time. We've got Forbidden Door in August, so that gap's a bit better. So I don't know if they'll do the devastating thing at All Out, or it's just pay-per-views to the end of the year. I don't know. But in terms of a main event, thought it delivered. I don't think you can get a better face of the company right now than Hangman Page. He's got momentum. They've told a great story with him, and what I did think was quite interesting is, you got baby faces actually. Look at the end. If this whole Death Riders thing was to elevate and create baby faces, you've got Will Ospreay, Swerve Strickland, Bryan Danielson, granted not full time but part time, Hangman Page, and Darby Allin. And there's an argument you could put the world title on any of them as top baby faces. Suddenly you look at that main event scene and go, actually, you know what? There's options there. Now you look at heels in the company. Moxley's still the top heel. Who else is the top heel? I suppose you've got Okada. Could easily transition to the main event scene if you wanted to. MJF. You have heels, but they are overflowing with baby faces in the main event scene right now, which I think is very positive for AEW as well. So a great main event and the correct outcome. Right, let's get through the rest of the show. If you haven't already, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well. We had on the 0 Hour pre-show, there was 2 other matches on the 0 Hour pre-show, 2 8-man tag team matches, but we'll just talk about FTR's match against the Outrunners. This was a rematch of the match they had at Collision 100 a couple of weeks ago, which was a really, really good match. Unfortunately, this did not live up to what I think it just wasn't going to. It wasn't going to. It didn't. FTR get the victory. Not loads to write home about. At points, it was quite sloppy, in fairness. And you felt like it was just a case of to give FTR a match. But they were involved later on in the show for the angle that they've been building to. Well, really since Adam Copeland came back at the end of last year. They were building towards working with him. But you felt like there was almost out of respect. Tony Khan said, well, we're going to do the angle with Cope and Krishna all in. But we'll give you a match. Just let's do that again at the match you had at Collision. We'll do that at All In. You can go on the pre-show, and that's kind of what it was, really, wasn't it? So not too much to write home about with that. The show opened with the Trios Championships on the line. The Ops retain the AEW World Trios Championships against the Death Riders, Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, and Gabe Kidd. But I suppose the real discussion comes in what happened after the match. After the match, Samoa Joe is taken out, along with Will Ospreay later on in the show. Samoa Joe is taken out. His neck's Pillmanized by the Death Riders. And I suppose what happens now? I mean, Twisted Metal Season 2, I think, airs at the end of this month. So I don't know if Joe needs to go out and do media for that. I'm not sure how that would stop him wrestling, considering he works once a week. So I'm not sure how that would be possible. But Joe gets the pinfall as well by hitting the Muscle Buster on Wheeler Yuta. So I thought it was just a case of maybe to write him out so he doesn't get involved in the main event. But lots of people did anyway. Maybe it is just a thing to get him off TV to do some press for his TV show. Maybe it's the way to reintroduce Hook back into AEW TV. Because, of course, Powerhouse Hobbs replaced Hook and they won the World Trios Championships. Maybe there's a situation where Hook can replace Joe, and then maybe they build towards a Joe Hook kind of storyline where, one's unhappy with the other for being replaced, whether it's Hook for being replaced in the first place and then maybe losing the championship, or Joe for how he was replaced by Hook. Maybe that's the direction that they'll go with that. Next up, we had the Men's Casino Gauntlet match, and MJF wins a future opportunity at the AEW World Championship. Now, in terms of entrants in this, we had Mark Briscoe and MJF starting off, which we knew. Next in was Ricochet. Then we had Bandito, Konosuke Takeshita, Mystico, Josh Alexander, Anthony Bowens, Roderick Strong, Brody King, a returning Juice Robinson, who also brought with him the Guns. The Guns brawled with the Gates of Agony. Of course, they're now backing up Ricochet. Kota Ibushi was in this one, the Beast Mortos, and the best wrestler alive, that being Max Caster. This match went very long. It went about, what was it, nearly 35 minutes, I think it was. Yeah, close to 35 minutes. MJF gets the victory. I mean, you felt like it was going to be MJF or Mark Briscoe. I do think there's potential there to pull the trigger on Mark Briscoe. If there's something, maybe it's because he does the cactus elbow off the ring apron, but he does kind of remind you of sort of Mick Foley-esque. You know, that kind of rough around the edges, but great on the microphone. Lovable underdog. I suppose he doesn't have to win, but occasionally should win the big one. This storyline looks like it's going to carry on going between him and MJF. I don't know if I expect MJF to cash in on Hangman straight away, but it is the right outcome. And again, I talk about them needing heels in the main event scene. You've got Moxley, you've got Okada. Yes, they could elevate some people that were involved in this match, maybe Takeshita or something, but I feel like MJF winning is the right thing. Him being in the main event scene is the right thing. And this match was fine. I mean, did I enjoy the Casino Gauntlet match more last year? Probably, because I had more surprises. I was maybe expecting a few more surprise entrants this time round, which we didn't see. But what I will say is I thought it was very enjoyable. This was a very emotional moment. The TNT Championship. We have a brand new TNT champion. It's not the match that you saw there on the screen, so it's not Kyle Fletcher. It was announced during the 0 hour pre-show by the AEW president Tony Khan on social media that Adam Cole was not cleared. Now, people thought, like myself, oh, maybe it's just another injury, it's a concussion. We don't know. Adam Cole came out and he was, as you can see there, visibly very, very, very emotional. And he didn't say specifically what was wrong with him. He said that he had health issues and he was going away for a while. He said he couldn't even think about retirement right now because it was all so raw to him. But he was just going away. He vacated the TNT Championship. He thanked the fans for everything. And it was real. It was a very, very, very emotional moment. Now, once again, they haven't said what it is. They've suggested that it happened on Thursday after Collision. Again, we don't know. Adam Cole's had a history of concussions. I mean, you never know. When he was walking to the ring, he looked to be okay, but looks can be very, very deceiving. So we don't know, and it's kind of not great to speculate. But it seems really serious. Now, from what I'm hearing in the post-show press conference, Tony Khan is getting very emotional talking about Adam Cole, and Adam Cole was talking very emotionally as well. Tony Khan has been asked about Adam Cole. He said he fully supports Adam Cole's time off. The decision came together this morning, and Adam Cole, and he said Adam Cole wasn't feeling well. Once again, we just don't know what it is. We don't know. I don't really want to speculate that much. Tony Khan says somewhere between late last night and early this morning, Adam Cole told him he wasn't feeling well. Then they made the decision. Tony Khan has got emotional discussing Adam Cole, echoes that he's a great person, he's great in the locker room, says he fully supports Cole's decision to take time away from the ring. They had planned as of last night for him to wrestle at All in Texas. So this happened late last night, this decision. So about not feeling well, again, you worry, just inevitably you worry about concussions. You know, you worry about concussions and post-concussion syndrome. Adam Cole had a real strong battle with concussions in 2022. Of course, at that Forbidden Door pay-per-view in 2022, suffered 2 concussions very close to each other, and obviously missed about a year of action because of it. So, and then had a lot of post-concussion syndrome. We don't know if it's a case of having another one. We don't know. Of course, if we get any more details, we'll let you know. In terms of the match, I thought it was a shoo-in that Kyle Fletcher would win. And that didn't happen. Dustin Rhodes won, and the finish at one stage looked like it wasn't meant to happen. Clearly, I suppose it was meant to happen. Is putting the TNT Championship on Dustin Rhodes in 2025 the right outcome? I suppose it was almost a situation whereby, I guess, because it was such a heart-wrenching moment with what happened with Adam Cole, maybe the decision was made that the crowd needed a feel-good moment, because the crowd wasn't really into the match that much, because they're reeling off the fact that Adam Cole might have to retire. So how can you then start cheering and clapping about what's happening in the ring? It feels quite secondary, doesn't it? So maybe there was this feeling of, you know what, give it to Dustin. Give it to Dustin. Give the crowd a moment. Kyle Fletcher's a really young guy, so he's going to win probably the championship next from Dustin Rhodes. He might win it as soon as Collision or Dynamite. I wouldn't even be shocked if they switched the title that quickly. But for this stage in Dustin Rhodes' career to get the TNT Championship, it's not great. But in terms of a moment, he was really emotional. The crowd gave him a standing ovation, like it was kind of, you know, for everything you've done in your career kind of vibe. So I'm not totally against it, I suppose. And I think Kyle Fletcher will win it back very soon. Next up, we had this tag team match, which unbelievable. I mean, it's a 5-star match. People can talk shit about the Young Bucks and being spot monkeys and no psychology or what have you. This is one of the most unbelievable tag team matches I think I've seen. With the spots that the Young Bucks were doing, what obviously Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland are capable of. On paper, this match should be 5 stars, and arguably it was even more than that. It's absolutely incredible. Everyone involved had special entrances. There was Ospreay's Assassin's Creed, whether it was Swerve Strickland having JoJo sing "Ain't Nobody," Loves Me Better by Shaka Khan. It was just brilliant. The Young Bucks lose. They're no longer EVPs. I thought that was a situation whereby they'd be written off television. They've got limited dates. They did appear later on in the show, so I don't know if they're still going to be on TV or if this is just the end of the storyline. It's not like a shoe, I don't think. But I think it's maybe just going to be a thing whereby they've lost it on TV. But then this is also the other part of kind of the laughable thing about the EVP titles. They're bullshit anyway. It's Tony Khan's company. Really, effectively, from late 2019 on, when Tony Khan took control of creative in the company, the EVP titles have just been in title only. They've not really had any say or sway or anything like that. You know, Kenny Omega openly says, well, I don't really do anything as an EVP anymore, and neither do the Young Bucks, so why not take it off them? It doesn't mean anything, maybe in terms of salary, but they're probably some of the highest paid guys on the roster anyway. So, but in terms of the match, I could try and go through all of the different spots over and over and over again, but I wouldn't be able to do it justice. I wouldn't be able to do it justice of all the different spots. I wouldn't be able to do it justice of just how unbelievable it was. Where they all go from here, like I said, Ospreay's been written off TV with that injury. The Bucks, I think, will just go away. Strickland, well, he seemingly has made peace of Hangman, so I don't know where he kind of goes. Does he continue to feud with the Bucks? Does he start feuding with Hangman again? I'm not sure where they go with that, to be honest with you. But in terms of a match, it's just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Next up, we had the Women's Casino Gauntlet match, and Athena wins this one. We only had 2 people, of course, actually announced for it. We didn't have really many surprises. We had a couple. It was Chris Statlander, Megan Bayne, Willow Nightingale, Ty Mello, Thekla, Tekla, who I'm a big fan of. I think she's brilliant. Julia Hart, Queen Aminata, Mina Shirakawa, Athena, Thunder Rosa, Shuri, and Alex Windsor, both making their debuts for AEW. What I will say this match showed, for all of the criticism of AEW and the booking of the women's division, which I think has been justified over the years, the booking of the women's division hasn't been great. They deserve more of a spotlight. They deserve more matches and a better attention on the show. I think this match was a really great example of the idea of, well, the women's division doesn't have enough stars. That is bullshit. I mean, look at the names in this match. Statlander, Megan Bayne, Willow Nightingale, as I mentioned, Tekla, Julia Hart, Mina Shirakawa, Athena, Thunder Rosa, Shuri. Like, they're any one of them. If you put the women's championship on, you go, well, yeah, that's fine. I understand that. They've got a really strong women's division. You see, Sky Blue wasn't even competing in this match, and she was basically involved in it like a competitor. So AEW's got a really, really strong women's division that they need to continue to build and continue to do more around. Obviously, I think there was a lot of frustration with Athena losing to Mercedes Moné in the AEW Owen Hart Foundation Women's Tournament. I guess we're now building to Athena versus Timeless Toni Storm, which is exciting. And Athena being involved more in AEW television, I'm all for it. And I think everyone else is as well. So right outcome, right decision. Athena wins the Women's Casino Gauntlet. Next up, we had the Tag Team Championships on the line. And we got a bit of everything in this one. In terms of the match, look, the Hurt Syndicate retained the AEW World Tag Team Championships. This match went way too long. It went 18 minutes, and this was one of those ones where you would say you could have shaved maybe like 5 minutes off this match. It didn't need to go that long. We had heard reports, hadn't we, about the plan was to do FTR versus Cope and Christian at All In. Christian said, no, I want to pay off this storyline with the patriarchy, with Nick Wayne. I don't want to rush it. I want to pay it off. We got the payoff this evening, which is after the match. FTR, were on commentary for the whole match. After the match, patriarchy turn on Christian Cage. They've had enough. Nick Wayne hits the kill switch. Mother Wayne slaps him across the face. Kip Sabian's there with a chair. FTR then starts saying, right, we're going to do the concerto. Who comes out? Cope comes out. Cope makes his return. Comes out with Spike. Manages to fend off everyone and saves Christian Cage from the spear. Now, they don't really reunite. They don't hug or say anything like that. Cope has the microphone and he says to Christian Cage, instead of saying, go fuck yourself, which of course was their whole storyline, wasn't it, when they came in, he says, go find yourself. So we're building to Cope and Christian reuniting, probably Cope and Christian versus FTR. I think that probably happens at All Out. All Out is in Canada. It's in Toronto, I believe. Of course, their hometown. So I think, we could have a couple of things. We could have Cope and Christian versus FTR, maybe at Forbidden Door. They pay that off there. And then maybe Cope and Christian for the AEW World Tag Team Championships in their hometown. They win the tag titles one last time. That's why Cope said he came to AEW, I wanted to do the story. I wanted to, retire with my best friend and work with my best friend. And that's seemingly what's going to happen. I think Cope said he's probably got about 18 months left in terms of in-ring action. So he's going to probably do a retirement tour like Sting did, and they'll probably have the final retirement match in Canada probably at some point next year. So they're going to be reunited. That was always the plan, to reunite. And they'll definitely have a match against FTR. I would assume that Christian's still going to have to pay off the match against Nick Wayne, so they're going to have to do that at some point. So Christian and Nick Wayne will be a thing that happens too. But we're going to see Edge and Christian, Cope and Christian back together. I don't know if they're going to do 5-second poses. I don't know if they're going to do what they're going to do, frankly. But they've got to that point, which is where they always wanted to get to. We've got over 50 people watching, which is great. If you haven't already, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well. You can see that we're just 9 subscribers away from 23,200. Loads of people tuning in over the course of the last, I don't know how long, it's probably been like 9 hours, something ridiculous. When did I start? 7? 5? 8 hours. Yeah, well, it's nearly 4 o'clock, so 9 hours, 9 consecutive hours streaming, talking. I can't believe I've still got a voice. I probably won't tomorrow. But I appreciate everyone that's tuned in, locked in. So yes, click the like button and be sure to subscribe. Then we get into our main events. Timeless Toni Storm makes history. She's the first person to defeat Mercedes Moné. And I know there's been so much talk about creative control and does Mercedes have it or doesn't she have it. To be honest with you, I don't care. I really don't care, because as long as I'm entertained and the booking makes sense, I don't have too much of a problem. Could she have maybe done some jobs along the way? Yes. As the fact that she didn't lose until now, did it make it feel bigger? Yes. Was tonight the right outcome? Yes. Mercedes didn't need to win tonight. She didn't. Timeless Toni Storm is the biggest, well, you could argue in terms of reach and in terms of appeal, in terms of following. Everyone knows who Mercedes Moné is. So maybe she's the biggest female star that AEW have. But Timeless Toni Storm is easily the best original AEW creation in terms of the women's division that they've done. And I know obviously Toni Storm was in WWE, and you could say, well, she's not an AEW original, but the timeless Toni Storm character, the creation, the booking of that, the success that they found, the matches, the storylines she's had with Mariah May, the Hollywood ending. I loved that match. Obviously now this with Mercedes Moné and all the matches. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And they delivered. And look, Mercedes Moné, I'm never the biggest fan of as a promo. I thought the promo she had with Storm on Wednesday on Dynamite was quite flat and wasn't all that. But in terms of the in between the ropes, the matches, I don't think you can ever criticize Mercedes Moné for that. You know, she can work. So can timeless Toni Storm. I think she's a brilliant worker and can do all kinds of style. Is, I think, a master at weaving that over the top, surreal craziness of the timeless Toni Storm character into seriousness. The promos that she cuts are so unique and so different, and again, entertaining, but sometimes not just like too far, not too much. It's a spider. Not too much. Yeah, I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was a fantastic match. Like I said, did they go straight into Athena versus Toni Storm, or do they wait? Well, one thing you would say is, looking at that women's gauntlet match, she's got a plethora of opponents. She's already faced Megan Bayne, but she could go back to that versus Chris Statlander, Willow Nightingale. Tekla versus Toni Storm, I think, would be brilliant. Thunder Rosa, Shuri, Alex Windsor. There's still so many opponents, and I think building that division and having Toni Storm versus and Mercedes Moné as your two standout stars, I think is the right move. I think they could have a rematch. They could have a rematch this time for the TBS title. Maybe that's where Mercedes wins. They level out one apiece, and then maybe they do build to a winner-takes-all match. Maybe that's next year at All In at London's Wembley Stadium. Perhaps maybe that's the direction that they're going in for that. But I thought, as a match goes, it was brilliant. Storm Zero, Avalanche, Storm Zero, and she gets the victory. And we had the Unified Championship. Good old JR back behind the commentary booth as well, which is fantastic to see. Looks great. Looks great. It's great to see Jim Ross healthy. Obviously, he's had his health issues over the last many years. Most recent one has been a battle with colon cancer, which he underwent surgery, got it removed. Was great to hear him back behind the mic. Obviously, look, he's not a JR of Attitude Era. He's not the JR of the 90s, the 80s, or the early 2000s. But he's still Jim Ross, damn it, and his voice still carries credibility, and that's what it did. Kazuchika Okada, the first ever AEW Unified Champion, was a bit surprised. I think probably people expected Kenny Omega to win this match. The more I think about it, the outcome makes a lot of sense, because this championship is still going to be defended in the AEW Continental Classic. Now, that's still quite a while away. That happens in November into December. Kenny Omega, at this stage of his career, with his physical limitations, should not be wrestling consistently in a tournament. He's at a stage where clearly he's wrestling, he's doing gaps between matches, because he did an interview recently where he spoke about what basically goes into him having a match at this point post diverticulitis surgery, where he says, like, it's a lot of recovery and I'm in a lot of pain and I have to be kind of really careful. So it's the right move for Okada to win, because Okada's going to be on TV more regularly. He's going to be defending it more regularly. And I suppose, look, Omega could still win it at some point. In terms of comparing it to their other matches in New Japan, it's kind of no comparison, really, because it never was going to be. The last time they faced each other was, 2018, which is 7 years ago. I mean, Kenny Omega now versus the Kenny Omega 7 years ago. The Kenny Omega 7 years ago was capable of a lot more than the Kenny Omega is now. Kenny Omega can still do 5-star matches, still arguably the best wrestler in the world. Don't get me wrong, but that just goes to show how strong Kenny Omega of 2018, 2017 was. He's just a freak. Same with Kazuchika Okada. Kazuchika Okada wrestling consistently in America is different to the Kazuchika Okada that wrestled for years in Japan. He's different. He's got a completely different style, which is a much more reserved. Now, were there great spots in this match? Yes. The psychology of hitting the one-winged angel and then Don Callis pulling him out the ring, the referee stamping on him and that not being a DQ, doesn't make a lot of sense. Is it an out for Kenny? I guess. But again, I think if you thought it was going to surpass their previous encounters, it was never going to. I think it was more just the history of having it take place in the United States after all of these years. That was kind of the selling point. And I still think to an extent they delivered. I still do think to an extent they delivered. I don't know what star rating you would give that if you give out stars. But it was still a big match, a good match. But obviously it's not 2 out of 3 Falls Dominion. It's not Wrestle Kingdom or G1. Like but it was never going to be that, I don't think. And then finally, we spoke about this earlier on, of course. Hangman Adam Page, new AEW World Champion. If you want to get the recap of that, you can go back to the start of the video. So there you go, guys. That's AEW All In Texas. That is the third AEW All In I've done on the channel. Obviously, we've done all of them so far. Another year of AEW content done. And that's us done for the day. I can't believe we managed to get through it. We did it in the end. We got there. I started streaming at 7 p.m. UK time. It is now 4 a.m. So 9 hours. We did 9 hours consecutive talking, back to back to back. There was overlapping and whatever, but I promised you guys 4 streams. I delivered you guys 4 streams today. I promised you watch-alongs and post-shows for All In Texas and Saturday night's main event, and that's what we did here this evening. So I really appreciate it. Tomorrow, as you can see in the sidebar, I'll be live. We'll be doing it all over again. We'll be live for an Evolution watch-along and an Evolution post-show. Depending on what time I wake up, I might try and do some news videos, talking about the injuries to Adam Cole, Seth Rollins, etc. But yes, really appreciate everyone for tuning in. Thank you for everyone that subscribed, click the like button, sent in super chats, gets involved, become members. It's always a blast. You guys, I'm so lucky. I'm so fortunate. I'm so blessed that I can go live at 4 o'clock in the morning, and there's even 50 of you here. Or that more that will watch after the fact. It's it's incredibly humbling. So thank you so much. And we'll be back tomorrow for Evolution. Have a good one. Peace.